Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really focusing our attention on what might be the most underrated piece of equipment in your entire golf bag,
I think it definitely is.
the putter shaft. Our mission here is to look at this simple-looking component that, at a high level, is absolutely a performance-defining component.
It really is.
You know, we all obsess over the putter head, the milling, the loft, the shape, but the sources we looked at today, they kind of bypass the head and really zero in on the shaft.
Which is where the engine of the putter really is.
Exactly. We're going to drill down on three key things: length, total weight, and the material. And we'll see how they impact your stroke, your alignment, your tempo, and maybe most critically, your face control.
And that's the part that really matters to you, the listener.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want that ball to start on line and get into a true roll quickly, it all starts with the shaft. Understanding this stuff is kind of the shortcut to consistency.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're going to start with the static elements first, the geometry, so length. Then we'll get into the mass materials, and we'll finish up with the really fascinating topic of weight distribution.
Yeah, counterbalancing, it's a game changer.
Let's start with length. This isn't just about what feels comfortable, is it?
Not at all. It's the absolute geometry of the stroke. Your length dictates your posture, where your eyes sit over the ball, and that, in turn, dictates the path the putter travels on.
It's a chain reaction then.
It's a total chain reaction.
Hmm.
Our source material makes it clear that if the length is wrong, you start making these little compensations before you even take the club back.
Okay, so what happens if it's too long?
If the shaft's too long, you tend to stand too upright, and when you do that, your eyes naturally fall inside the ball to target line.
And why is that a problem? I mean, I've always heard you want your eyes directly over the ball.
Because your brain perceives the line differently from that inside position. It tries to compensate by encouraging a stroke that's way too arsed. You get this pull-in move on the takeaway, and squaring the face becomes a huge challenge.
And I'm guessing the opposite is true if it's too short.
Just as bad, if not worse. Too short, and you're forced to hunch over. That hunching almost always leads to too much forward shaft lean when you strike the ball.
And that's where we get into something called dynamic loft.
Exactly. That extra forward lean kills your dynamic loft. It's basically the actual loft you present to the ball at the moment of impact.
So if a short shaft is literally de-lofting the putter for us, what does that do to the ball?
You basically smash it into the ground. I mean, you launch it into the turf, which dramatically increases how much the ball skids and bounces at the start.
Which means your distance control is just gone.
Completely unpredictable. And on the flip side, if you don't have enough shaft lean, maybe from a shaft that's too long, you launch the ball too high. You get those little airborne putts that just tumble and never settle into a good roll.
So there has to be a sweet spot, a key metric.
There is. The aha moment here is that the right length supports a neutral shaft lean. And the goal is to get the launch angle into this incredibly narrow window. We're talking between 0.75 and 2.5 degrees.
Wow, that's a tiny margin for error.
It's everything. It's the difference between a skidding putt and one that gets into that pure early forward roll. That is the key to distance control.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So once you've got the geometry fixed with length, the next piece of the puzzle has to be mass, the weight.
Right, now we're talking about tempo and stability. The shaft's weight has a huge effect on the total weight and the swing weight of the putter.
And how does that translate to the stroke itself?
Well, think about it. A heavier shaft, and therefore a heavier putter, naturally wants to slow your stroke down. It dampens that quick, handsy wrist action.
So it promotes a smoother tempo.
A much smoother tempo, yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes it a lot easier to keep the face square through impact because you're taking the small, twitchy muscles out of the equation.
But I know a lot of players who just love that feel of a lighter putter. They say they have more touch.
And they do. Lighter shafts give you way more feedback and sensitivity. For players who rely on that touch for distance, it can be great. But there's a big trade-off.
Stability.
Stability. You're risking instability. A light putter is much easier to manipulate with your hands, which is the last thing you want under pressure.
And that stability, as the sources point out, is what gives you that clean energy transfer and reduces your off-center hits.
Exactly. And that becomes so critical on those putts inside, say, 12 feet. The scoring zone. Any little variation in your launch on those putts can be the difference between a make and a miss.
There's a number for this, isn't there? A metric for face stability.
Yeah, the performance metric we found links shaft weight directly to the rate of face rotation. For really consistent directional control, you want that face rotation to stay under 15 degrees per second.
15? That sounds incredibly slow.
It is. For context, an amateur who struggles with pulling putts might be rotating the face at 30, 40, maybe even 50 degrees per second.
Wow.
So a heavier, more stable shaft just physically dampens that rotation and helps you stay under that 15-degree threshold. It has a massive impact on your start line.
Speaking of stability, let's get into materials. For years, steel was king.
It was the only option, really. It's rigid, it's predictable.
But now the market is full of carbon composites, graphite, these multi-material stability shafts. What are they actually doing differently?
Well, the carbon and composite shafts, their main benefit is vibration dampening and, weight reduction. They feel softer.
Mhm.
But they also let fitters take weight out of the middle of the shaft, which lets you play with the balance point.
But the real buzz is around those reinforced stability shafts. What makes them a so-called game changer?
It comes down to one phrase: torsional twisting.
Torsional twisting. Okay, break that down for me.
Think about what happens when you hit a putt just slightly off center,
Mm.
on the toe or on the heel. A standard steel shaft will actually twist just a microscopic amount in reaction to that off-center hit. And that twist pulls the face open or closed by maybe a degree or a degree and a half.
And that tiny deflection is enough to miss the putt.
Precisely. That's the push or the pull you feel. A high-performance stability shaft is engineered specifically to resist that twisting motion. So if you miss the sweet spot, that shaft keeps the face angle almost perfectly intact through impact.
So we're talking about turning a 1.5-degree deflection into what?
The goal is to keep it under a quarter of a degree. It basically makes your miss hits roll like center hits.
And you can actually see this with the fitting tools, like a Quinnic ball roll system.
Oh, absolutely. The data shows it clear as day. Better shaft material leads to less spin variation, more consistent impact, and that's a huge advantage on faster sloping greens.
Which brings us to our final and maybe most advanced topic, weight distribution. This isn't just total weight, but where the weight is. Counterbalancing.
This is where a good fitter really earns their money. It's an art. So you have two main philosophies. First, the head-heavy setup.
More weight down towards the putter head itself.
Right. And this is fantastic for golfers who had a nice, natural arcing stroke. That extra mass in the head increases momentum at the bottom of the swing.
So it kind of smooths out the pendulum and encourages a natural release of the putter head.
Yes, exactly. It really enhances the feel of the head, which can be amazing for your distance perception on long putts. But, and this is a big but,
There's always a trade-off.
always, if you already struggle with keeping the face square, adding more weight at the end of that lever can actually amplify your mistakes. It can lead to a lot of unwanted side spin if your hands get a little twitchy.
Okay, so that's head heavy. What's the alternative?
The alternative is the grip heavy or counterbalanced setup. This is where you add mass up toward your hands, either with a heavier grip or a weight plug inside the shaft.
And this is all about stability.
The ultimate in mechanical stability. By adding weight near your hands, the axis of rotation, you literally stabilize the whole system. You dampen wrist and hand action. It makes it physically harder to manipulate the putter face.
So for a player who fights the yips or just has overly active hands, this is like a built-in training aid.
It's immediate physical restraint, yeah. And the effect on the roll is pretty unique. It tends to encourage a lower launch angle and a much earlier true roll because the energy transfer is so stable.
Which is ideal for fast greens.
Perfect for fast greens,
Right.
where you want that ball to just settle down and start rolling predictably right away. So really, optimizing that weight bias lets a fitter perfectly tailor the putter's tempo and feel for any golfer.
So that really brings our whole deep dive together. The main takeaway for me is that these four things, length, weight, material, and distribution, they aren't separate.
No, they're all interconnected.
They all intertwine to influence your face control and, ultimately, the launch conditions of every single putt.
The end goal is simple. It's to use the shaft to create a consistent, stable stroke that produces the most optimal roll possible. Every factor, from the material's rigidity to just a few grams of weight in the grip, it all changes how that ball leaves the face.
And the great thing is you don't have to guess anymore. We mentioned tools like Puddleize or Quintic. They let you see in real time what happens to your face rotation or launch angle when you change one of these variables.
It's objective proof. You're moving beyond feel, and you're starting to fine-tune your launch conditions like a scientist. And that, I promise you, leads directly to fewer three putts.
So here's a final thought to take with you to the course. If getting your face rotation under 15 degrees per second is the key to direction on the greens, what other hidden mechanical variables in the rest of your clubs, maybe your driver shaft or your iron lie angles, are silently holding your consistency back? Something to think about on your next round.